Obviously, we're calling what happened in Myanmar a coup. Do you think that's an accurate description for what happened on January 6th?
I'm not going to give any new definitions. There's obviously a process that's ongoing. I'm sure you'll all be watching today as the Senate proceeds with the hearings. I appreciate your creativity, though. Go ahead, in the back.
The Iranian-backed Houthi rebels attacked Saudi Arabia today in Abha. The coalition called it a war crime. Does this undermine the president's effort to end the war in Yemen? And are you putting too much faith in the Houthis rebels' intention to get into the negotiation?
Well, thank you, Nadia. Let me first say that we condemn the Houthi attack today at the Abha International Airport in Saudi Arabia, a civilian airport. The attack coincides with Special Envoy Lenderking's first trip to the region and his efforts to bring a lasting peace to Yemen that will ease the suffering of the Yemeni people. The Houthis, meanwhile, continually demonstrate a desire to prolong the war by attacking Saudi Arabia, including attacks on citizens. And we will continue our diplomatic outreach and engage with various stakeholders, including members of Congress, humanitarian aid organizations, the UN Special Envoy, and others to bring a negotiated settlement to end the war. As President Biden has said, we are stepping up our diplomacy to end the war, as he said last week at the State Department. And the main focus of our efforts will continue to be on diplomacy to end the war via the UN-led process, to impose a ceasefire, open humanitarian channels, and restore long-dormant peace talks. We believe that remains the best path forward.
Thank you. I have a quick question on Iran. Some reports indicating that you're considering baby steps to get back into the negotiation. Is this on the table? Is this something that administration is considering at the time?
Did you say baby steps? I'm sorry, the masks make it hard to hear. The president's focus is on reiterating what he did last weekend, which is that in order to move forward, Iran needs to comply with the outlines of the JCPOA and the agreement that was formed just a few years ago. In terms of any additional steps under consideration, I don't have any update on that. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. I wanted to ask you about the budget, which I know it's a little early to be thinking about, but
it's never too early to talk about the budget. Skinny budget, all sorts of budgets.
Can you lay out a timeline for us of when to expect to see the president's first budget? And my second question is does the president plan to cut his proposal or cut defense spending or propose to cut defense spending?
As you know, our nominee to lead the OMB just had her hearing yesterday, and hopefully she'll be in place soon. But there were some challenges that came about during the transition in terms of a bit of intransigence from the outgoing administration and lack of cooperation as it related to OMB and the budget process. So we expect there to be a delay in the release of his first budget. I don't have an exact timeline of when that will be, though.
Would we see an outline or something? I mean, I know the budget's a thick document, but would you see an outline before that, or what are you thinking?
I don't have anything to preview yet for you. I can talk to our friends or connect you directly with our colleagues at OMB and see if there's anything more specific they can preview for you at this point in time.
Thank you.
Sure. Go ahead in the back.
Yes. Thank you, Jen. On Iran as well, does the administration welcome any role that its allies in the region can play in order to help facilitate talks with Iran or bring it back to the table? I mean, General McKenzie said on Monday, namely about Qatar, when you consider the problem with Iran, they have a large role to play in that. Does the administration consider Qatar as a potential, maybe role player in bringing Iran back to the table? And knowing that both National Security Advisor Sullivan and the Iran's envoy Rob Mali, they both spoke with the Qatar Foreign Minister.
Well, the way to move things forward is for Iran to come into full compliance with its obligations under the JCPOA. And if they do that, the United States would do the same and then use that as a platform to build a longer and stronger agreement that also addresses other areas of concern. So that's really, the ball is really in their court to take those steps. And whether there are roles of other countries in the region, obviously in any of these if we were to reach that stage, consultations with countries in the region would be a key part of that process, but we're certainly not there yet.
And also on the Houthis, please, delisting the Houthis from the terror list, other than the humanitarian assistance, does it have any strategic significance? Is the administration willing to enter a dialogue with the Houthis in order to end the war in Yemen in a peaceful way?
I know there have been some reports, but I don't believe my colleagues at the State Department have confirmed anything about delisting, so I would point you to them for any confirmation or specifics and any of the reasoning.
Is the administration going to do that anytime soon?
Again, I'd point you to the State Department. They have not even spoken to these reports. Go ahead, Mike.
One quick question. I know the speaker hasn't yet set a date, but I assume we all expect a joint address to Congress in the next few weeks. Has the president started the process of both thinking about what he wants to say personally and also the sort of interagency collection of information that a president normally does for these things?
Interagency collection doesn't make it sound that interesting. Discussing with experts all of the ideas they have to put Americans back to work. We have. I don't have any update on a date. Obviously, there are. The impact of COVID includes the fact that it is challenging to envision how you'd have 500 people in attendance at a joint session. But obviously,
Is a remote speech possible?
There are a range of. There are a range of options under discussion. We're engaged with it. I don't have any updates for what it will look like or when it would be. But I can say that the president is eager to lay out more specifics of his Build Back Better agenda, and he is in ongoing discussions with a range of stakeholders in Congress and the administration outside about what that's going to look like. And he mentioned that when he gave his not joint session speech. Sorry, he wasn't in office yet, but when he gave his primetime address a couple of weeks ago, that would kind of be the next step. So he is, always discussing with experts and policy experts what that would look like, but I don't have anything on the timeline or what the format would look like.
Does he want the American Recovery Plan to be passed before he delivers that speech?
He wants the American Rescue Plan to be the ARP, you can call it, sometimes it's easier, to be passed as quickly as possible. He certainly, as having served in the Senate for 36 years, he knows that there's a process that needs to take place. As you know, it's working its way through the committees in the House. Then it will go to the Senate. That takes a little bit of time just by the nature of the important work that happens. He is pleased with the progress and the urgency he sees from the House and Senate. But in terms of a specific date for his next speech or next proposal, I just don't have anything to preview for you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Jen.